What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, I want to talk about an article I just read. Great article by Lance Pugmire of the Los Angeles Times. Link in the description. And I want to talk about a couple of quotes from that. It was a Gennady Golovkin interview, who's preparing for his Kell Brook fight. It's coming up in about 9-10 days. And this is funny because I noticed a pendulum shift with Golovkin. And I actually made a video about it. If you check my channel. And the video's title is simple: Is Gennady Golovkin too nice? And I did it a year ago, right? And if you listen to it, I said, is Gennady Golovkin ready to be a pay-per-view star? This was, of course, before the David Lemieux bout. Do you think Triple G is too nice? Would he benefit from, and basically what I was saying is, would he benefit from being a little bit edgier? We know that when Floyd Mayweather turned from Pretty Boy to Money May, and he was like in Oscar De La Hoya's face, like, you ain't gonna do shit. That's when he became the villain. And I'm not saying and advocating that everyone becomes a villain or go outside of their morals or values, but that video, the whole premise of it was, would it be beneficial and benefit Golovkin to be a little bit more edgy? And I've noticed, I don't know, maybe he's seen the video. Tom Loeffler follows me, I don't know. But I noticed Golovkin's been a lot more edgy recently. Maybe it's just out of frustration. He's growing tired of the chasing Canelo fight. But I covered his last fight, the Golovkin versus Wade fight. I was at the Forum in Inglewood, and after the fight, I was surprised because Golovkin was like, "Hey, no, guys, hey, I'm ready to fight now. Give me my belts." And he was like way more candid and straightforward post-fight with Max Kellerman. So I thought that was a good look. And I'm just gonna tell you guys, he's applying a lot of pressure on Canelo, and it's not making Canelo or Golden Boy look good. This is a tweet from Lance Pugmire. He also torched Oscar De La Hoya for the Stay By Your Phone Act, saying there was clearly no interest in making the fight. So he says De La Hoya, like, that was a ploy after the Amir Khan knockout. He also says the sincerity of Gennady Golovkin saying he thinks it is impossible for Canelo to make a fight 1 year from now was striking. Again, link in the description so you can read the full article in its entirety and read the dialogue between the two. I just want to pull quotes and talk about a few things and just give my thoughts, really. In this, he says, Canelo and Golden Boy, everybody around Canelo understands, and they're all scared. He's their golden child. If he's finished, no money from him, no business. That's coming from Golovkin in this interview. Golovkin also goes on to say pretty much he would beat him because he's been facing smaller guys. And he says, I think so. He's fighting small guys, no one with the true big punch. And that's his word. Some people would find that hypocritical because he is fighting Kell Brook. But Kell Brook, I think, is no more at welterweight for punching power than a guy like Amir Khan, Josecito Lopez, things like that. And Golovkin also goes on to say, it's too much talk from Canelo. He's not serious. Everybody understands it. People understand that Triple G's ready and Canelo's not. He's under pressure. He says, we're going to do our best. Well, I guess the Golden Boy said we're going to do our best to make the fight. And it just basically doesn't sound like Triple G is believing that. He also, off the record, I guess, in this article, they quoted that he says that Gennady Golovkin anticipates that this would, in an extended conversation with the LA Times, Golovkin speculated that Alvarez would postpone their fight for 3 years. So he doesn't think, when Golden Boy made that comment saying, hey, this fight will happen and it'll happen next year in September. And then De La Hoya also said in a recent interview, this fight can't afford to wait past 2017. But according to Triple G, he thinks the fight won't even happen until 3 years from now. And I want to give my thoughts on it again. For the full article and write-up, check Lance Pugmire in the Los Angeles Times. One thing I do have to add too is Triple G actually, I want to see the sparring tape so bad, but Triple G documents something from his perspective that occurred when he fought Canelo in the sparring back at Big Bear a couple years ago. He says he hurt Canelo to the body, and Canelo and Eddie Reynoso, and basically they were spooked because they felt the power in sparring, and he got hurt to the body. And I don't know what happened after that, but he believes that might be a possible reason why Golden Boy doesn't want to make the fight, because of what happened in sparring. So, I mean, strong words from Gennady Golovkin, and it's not, Canelo looks really big right here too, FYI. But it's not making Team Canelo Golden Boy look good. You got a guy who's looking like the big bad wolf, keeps calling you out. He's getting more aggressive with it. He's not doing. It sounds like he's sick and tired of the Mr. Nice Guy, humble approach. So he's just putting it out there. Like, I heard him in sparring, and I don't think he wants to fight for the next 3 years. So for me, hopefully that's not the case. I think Canelo's a talented fighter. I think he will, on paper, and even in the ring, I think he'll probably be Golovkin's best test so far. Golovkin's resume is not the best. Canelo said that, and I'm agreeing with Canelo when it comes to that. I think in terms of resume, Golovkin's resume still needs work. He hasn't really fought undefeated fighters that were known for anything. I mean, recently Dominic Wade, I think there was another one a couple years ago, but it was not a big name, stuff like that. It wasn't a guy who had been in there with everybody and was still undefeated. So it's a lot of pressure on Canelo, man. I think Canelo, he's better off. Even the Liam Smith, I don't understand it for the simple fact of why are you fighting a guy at 154 weight? Why are you going to do that to your body? You know what I mean? Like, look at these pictures. Canelo looks pretty big, and you're going to drop that extra pound. Some people might be like, oh, ego, it's a pound. But every pound counts in the sport of boxing, right? That 1 pound, like, it could mean something, because if you are already struggling to make 55 in general, now you have to go beyond that and deplete your body. You start to break down muscle, right? And only Canelo's team knows the exact parameters and how hard it's getting. I'm just going from the eye test. Canelo looks sucked up at the there's a lot of times where I thought he looked weight drained at the weigh-in. He looked, skin looked very translucent, cheekbones all sunk in. So that extra pound, we'll see what it does. And if you're going to move up to middleweight, I would have just started prepping. Golovkin's down your throat. He doesn't seem to be easing up. Abel Sanchez is making a bunch of interviews too. And the fans are craving it. That's more important than the blase from the fighter and trainer, is the fans want it. And you keep saying that you can beat him and you don't see anything special and things like that, then you got to prove it. It's easier to make a quote than to prove it in the ring. So that's all I'm saying. I think Canelo, I would pick Golovkin to win, but I think he can challenge, and you'll get, even if Canelo were to lose, there's more respect in challenging yourself than there is to, like, kind of avoiding him. You know what I mean? Amir Khan took the challenge. He got knocked out, but I mean, people at least gave Khan credit for being gutsy, right? And from what Canelo says, is he doesn't think he'll lose to him. So I mean, if he feels there's something different, then why not fight him? Why say I'll make the fight when I'm ready to make the fight if you feel you can beat him now? That just doesn't make sense to me. It's a big money fight. You and Golovkin will both cash out and get a lot of money for the fight. The fans would be interested in the fight, and you feel you can beat him. I just don't see what the holdup is. It's not like it needs to marinate like it's going to make a significant amount more money if you wait 2 years, 3 years, right? And people need to get off of this Mayweather-Pacquiao thing. That fight is his own fight. Pacquiao still, aside from Marquez, he was still a force, and he's still hard to beat. And it took Marquez 3 other times, and he didn't get it until the 4th try to stop Pacquiao, right? Other than that, Algieri, Rios, Tim Bradley, these guys couldn't really effectively beat Pacquiao. And you can say Bradley beat him the first fight, but I mean, whatever. I thought Pacquiao won that fight. It was closer than people said, but still had Pacquiao winning, you know what I mean? So if you feel you could beat the man now, you'll make good money, you'll get all the public, the media, the fans. Like, I've seen people really turn on Canelo that were pure fans. Like, they thought he could beat Golovkin, and they just don't like how his demeanor. And it's not looking good when you got the Los Angeles Times, all these articles and stuff. And it goes back to my video. Is Golovkin too nice? Maybe he watched it, or his team watched it, because the gloves are off. He sounds pretty candid. Golovkin speculates Canelo wants him to wait 3 years, and he's saying his team don't want it and stuff like that. Again, check out the full article on the Los Angeles Times. But I think right now it's time for Canelo to step up, and I would make it sooner than later, right? Because this is not going anywhere. And I understand, see, the thing with Canelo is, I think he also feels this, and I'm not trying to make this video too long, but this is so random, but I'm gonna tell you guys something. When in my school, in middle school, it was grades 6, 7, and 8. And in the yearbook, the 8th graders got colored pictures. Like, so if their background was like That probably sounds like slavery or some colored picture. I'm talking about what I mean by that. The pictures weren't in black and white. So, you know, when you take a picture for the picture day or whatever, and the background's like red or blue or orange or whatever, that would show up in the 8th grade picture day, right? If you were in grade 6 or 7, your pictures were just in black and white. So being a kid, being 12, 13 or whatever, when you're that age, all the kids couldn't wait to become 8th graders, because that was like, when you finally become an 8th grader, you get your pictures in color, no longer black and white. So something kind of cool, right? And that at that particular school, my middle school, the year I became an 8th grader, for the first time, the yearbook team decided not to discontinue the putting the pictures in color, and they put everybody's picture in black and white. So for me, in my class, we were kind of pissed, because for all these years, the 8th graders, that was like a privilege that they had over the 6th and 7th graders. You're about to go to high school, and in the yearbook you have pictures that are in color instead of black and white. But then when I finally got there, the pictures weren't in color anymore. They discontinued and stopped doing it. So everybody, grade 6, 7, and 8, had pictures in black and white only, right? And I know some of you guys are thinking like, come on, Ego, get to the goddamn point. Who cares about a fucking yearbook? But the reason I'm telling you guys is to go through school and to know that's the parameters. Once you get to the 8th grade, you get this added perk, right? And then you finally get there and then they take it away. You're like, fuck, that sucks. I waited all these years and passed these grades, and then now they take that privilege away. I think that might be why Canelo is pissed. He feels Golovkin's getting a lot of praise, and the A-sides before him, Floyd Mayweather, Pacquiao, and stuff like that, and Julio Cesar Chavez, De La Hoya, his promoter, they had to beat somebody in order to be the A-side. You know what I mean? Like, De La Hoya beat Chavez Sr. and became the A-side. Mayweather beat De La Hoya and became the A-side. Pacquiao beat De La Hoya and stopped him and became an A-side. Things like that, right? So you usually had to do something like that to be the A-side. And I think now that it's a different era for Canelo, and he feels, I'm the A-side. I'm where De La Hoya was when he beat Chavez Sr. I'm where Mayweather was when he beat De La Hoya, where Pacquiao was when he beat De La Hoya. I'm calling the shots. And he's receiving a lot of criticism, and he's not being able to call the shots the same way. Like, that's what I feel he feels. And he feels like slighted. Like, I finally wait to become an 8th grader and get the pictures, and now I don't even have the leverage to do this, and people are breathing down my throat. So he's kind of like, oh, I'll fight Golovkin when I'm ready to fight him. But you got to look at it, and the thing is, the big difference is De La Hoya, before he fought Julio Cesar Chavez, was very accomplished. Floyd was very accomplished. Pacquiao was accomplished. They had notches on their belt, dominant performances, not just like okay performances. You know what I mean? Pacquiao had beaten Marquez and Marco Antonio Barrera and people like that before he even fought De La Hoya, right? So that's the thing. Everybody waits their turn, and I feel Canelo feels like, I waited my turn. I'm the A-side now. I want to be calling all the shots, but he's not getting the same. People are just like, we want to see the fight, and he feels like Golovkin needs to earn it and stuff like that. But everyone has their own story, and all I know is Canelo is getting a lot of backlash for it. Getting a lot of backlash for not fighting it. He just wants to be able to call the shots on somebody. When he fought Cotto, he felt that Cotto's name was first or whatever, and he had to pay certain respects. And he's kind of like looking at Golovkin like, why is Golovkin getting all this praise and he ain't even done nothing? So I'll fight him when I'm ready. And he wants to pull them A-side tactics, but for whatever reason, the public is not. Maybe because he lost to Floyd, his grand opportunity to become the A-side, the cash cow, and he's the A-side now. Mayweather retired, but he had the opportunity to beat Mayweather and inherit, like Highlander, inherit Mayweather's power and become the A-side, like De La Hoya did to Chavez Sr., like Mayweather did to De La Hoya, right? And he came up short when he fought Floyd. And then people have the Edeslandi Lara, so maybe his situation is a little bit different. Maybe that's why they're not trying to hear that, because he did certain things and abused certain privileges, the fighting at Canelo weight and stuff like that. So everyone has their own story, and the bottom line is people want to see you fight Golovkin, and that's what it boils down to. They want to see you fight him, and if you feel you can beat him, why not oblige him? Why not just prove it to the world? And I feel like that will be the type of fight where if you beat Golovkin, he's undefeated, and you're not even undefeated at this point. Arguably, you should have 2 losses if you consider the Lada. Like me, I thought Lada beat him by a round or 2, right? So the bottom line is, if you beat Golovkin, you're back on top. You know what I mean? There's nothing anyone can say. You're the first to blemish his record, just like Mayweather was the first to blemish Diego Corrales' record, Ricky Hatton's record, right? You look at Pacquiao, he blemished people's record in the past. I mean, maybe not that many, but even guys like Chris Algieri, stuff like that. I can't think off the top of my head, but it would be a second chance at redemption of passing the torch. And if you feel you can beat him, then why not beat him, shut him up, instead of him doing all these interviews and kind of making you look bad, and you just accept it and say, oh, I'll fight when I'm ready. It's not making sense to me. Drop in the comment section. Let me know if you agree with Golovkin. Do you think Canelo and team will try to wait 3 years for the Golovkin fight? Whose side are you on when the fight happens, if it happens? Drop that in the comment section. Make sure you like my video. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, is Ego signing off.